Check 1, 2. All right, my friends, welcome back to another Art Professors podcast. I'm the Zim. This is the Zim video, and I'm the art professor today for you. Teaching this year at Rochester Institute of Technology. Taught there last year. This is what I'm calling summer edition of the podcast, version or whatever, season 2.5. We're on episode 80, number 80 of the entire podcast series. I need to go to the optometrist and get my eyes checked out. It's time. There was a day last week that my eyes just took forever to get into focus. It was the worst. I just couldn't even see my screen that well. It's weird. Getting old sucks. But anyways, here we are. We're doing it. If I look a little bit greasy, it's because I am. The hot water heat boiler broke in my building, and they're fixing it today, so I haven't been able to take a shower for a minute, and it's really hot and sticky and humid here in Rochester, New York. But anyways, so deal with it. We're going to be talking about stuff, but first let me just recap, do that intro a little bit more. So this RIT is where I'm teaching. A couple years ago, I taught at Northwest Missouri State University. That's where the podcast started, this version of the podcast anyway. And then before that, I was at San Diego State University. And then same school, but right before that, I got my graduate degree at San Diego State University. Spent 3 years there. That was a 3-year program, which I personally don't know. Well, it's just the difference of the programs. I think, based on what I'm seeing, like RIT has a 2-year master's degree. And I don't know how it's accomplished in 2 years, honestly, in a way that's as valuable, but because it just seems like 2 years is just not enough time based on what it seems like. I'm so thankful that mine was a 3-year program. It was like I was ready to be done by the time I was done, but I'm so thankful. So I would recommend looking at a 3-year, like whenever you're looking at graduate schools, if that's what you decide to do. If you happen to be across this video because you are thinking about this journey of becoming an art professor and you want to go to graduate school, I would highly recommend a 3-year program. Because remember, the bottom line, it should be about the work. If you're trying to rush through just to get the document, then I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice. You should be there to really have the opportunity to marinate and investigate your work and challenge to think about it different. There's a lot of people, I'm sure, that go to graduate school that have a practice heartily established, and they are trying to just get the paper, but they're not allowing themselves to maybe change up what they're doing. You know, that actually happened a little bit at the school that I went to. But I was lucky. My professors, my main professor especially, but my professors were saying, like, you did it the right way, Zim, because you allowed influence to affect you. You allowed us to teach you. You allowed us to be, and you came in with just like, what are the possibilities? Not like, I just need to fit it in this little thing. The other thing I've said before is, don't work. If you're working, like, work a day job. If you're trying to work a day job, I know you got to do what you got to do, obviously, but another thing that I'm ultra thankful for is I said I wouldn't go to graduate school if I had to work. I wasn't even going to do it. So I managed to get financial aid and make it happen. It was during the pandemic, so there was that issue as well. But I managed to just go all 3 years and I was 100% graduate school. That was my job, my work, my art, everything around it. Anyways. So, and then many years before graduate school, I went to the University of Washington for my undergraduate degree in fiber arts. So my graduate degree was in kind of interdisciplinary, but I was kind of concentrated. My main professor, the area I ended up in was the graphic design program. And again, I was told different information than what was the reality. I was told just get in and you do whatever you want, which I did anyway, but you have to well, you don't have to. The way that my kind of way went was, what I learned afterward is you can apply, and the programs can kind of trade applicants if they want, but essentially you apply to a program, one of the programs, graphic design, woodworking, they call it, what do they call it there? Applied design, I think is what they call it, like woodworking, and even I forget what all, like metals fell under there. So but then they also had obviously painting and sculpting, and then they had this multimedia program. So they had a few different programs. They had a printmaking, I believe, as well. Printmaking. So they had a few different programs, and you had to sort of pick the one that you were sort of applying to. And so I did my little research based on, I visited the campus, got some information, talked to a few people, and the people that I talked to, I got the best vibe from the graphic design program. Ironically, as well, the person that I talked to was retiring that year. So I didn't even actually talk to the graphic design program. I talked to a person that was retiring, and I was like, oh, this person seems cool. Yeah, let me do it. But then the person that I ended up being my main professor ended up being amazing, supportive, awesome person. So thankful, like the world works in mysterious ways, right? And aligns you, and you find the people that you're meant to find, in a sense. And I really feel like that was a little bit of the case with my program at San Diego State. Yeah, they told me I just apply but I was the bottom line is I was heavily influenced by the graphic design program. So that's where all the text came. See in the background, there's tons of text in my work, but because thinking of the graphic design, text and images to convey a message, right? But I'm definitely see myself more as a fine artist. Like if I had to, they said, Zim, what kind of artist are you? Like fine artist is the best way for me to describe it. And that's what I do. But I use obviously a lot of text and a lot of different things in my work. I can teach graphic design. I have. When I was at Northwest Missouri State, I taught graphic design. When I was at San Diego State, I was essentially teaching what I'm teaching now, but it was in the multimedia program. It was like Photoshop and Illustrator and packaging and design I taught there. But but then when I was at Northwest Missouri, I was in the graphic design program, but I taught intro to photography. They had a weird system there because they also had a photography program that also taught an intro to photography in a way. And so it was like, yeah, it was weird. And then I taught a foundations course. I got to teach 2D design, which I loved. I would love to teach more foundations courses. And this is where we're at now. Now I'm teaching illustration. I'm in the illustration department, teaching mostly Photoshop and Illustrator. It's July 11th, and I still don't know what classes I'm teaching next year. I still haven't got my actual contract. So I haven't signed my contract yet. So I don't know what's going on. They paid me my bonus though. Fingers crossed. I mean, if something terrible happens between now and the beginning of the school year, like they said, well, actually, we can't hire you or something, I'll probably either call my dad or my sister and be like, I need to move in with you for a couple months until I get a job. Let's get into this. How the podcast works in the summer is we do YouTube is our main focus in a lot of ways. We break down what's happening on the YouTube channel, then we go into, I have all that political, kind of what's going on in the world, and then we go into my artwork, and then we go into just kind of more personal life stuff, and we'll see how it plays today. So let's get it going. All right. On the screen, we have the updates to the YouTube channel. Currently, right now, let's see what it says. 9,295 subscribers. That's 152, plus 152 since last week. And our membership count is at 113. On the screen, it says 109, and because it's always a little bit behind. It's always a day behind updating everything. So right now, we're at 113. So I think last week we talked about the plateau, the drop off, and we got another 50 member donation last week after the drop off. So, but then we got a few individual signups, so that's pretty rad. Let's look at the the views is up to 89,000. I've been hustling pretty hard. So this is the big news. Let's see, anything else to mention about that? So that was a plus 54 on member count, plus 151 on subscriber count, which is awesome. I think some of it has to do with the giveaway that's happening. So we'll talk more about it. Stuff behind me right there is the giveaway. Today, July 11th, is the opening of the giveaway. So we'll see how it goes. Next Friday, I should be able to report back to you on any progress, because I'm giving the giveaway a week to submit. And so I'll be hustling, telling people about it. But the big news is, so I'm going to put on the screen somewhere one of the warning, I think I might have shared this with you before, but I've been on TikTok. I was getting these warnings all the time of like, you're violating our community guidelines. And what I realized it was based on kind of learning about it. I say YouTube way too much on TikTok lives. I'm like, go to my YouTube, because I'm really trying to funnel people to my YouTube, because that's where I get paid. That's where I can get sustainability. And I just had enough. The combination of those things keep popping. So over the last 2, maybe 3 months, it's been about 2 people in my TikTok streams every time I go live on TikTok. And I'm like, whereas like 6 months ago or longer, 7 months ago, last year around this time, there'd be like 13, 14, 15 people in my TikTok lives. And a lot of people would come to YouTube. Like I would get a lot of like new, but it's just been dead for so long now that's like, it's really not worth it anymore. And so I decided, I was just like, I can't handle this. I'm not going to live stream on TikTok anymore. Plus, we are phasing out of TikTok completely because of the whole TikTok M2. If you're not aware, they're going to be transitioning to an American TikTok. I don't know what the plan is, but basically what it seems like to me is it's just going to be state-run media, and it's going to be surveillance more than TikTok is right now. And so I would encourage everybody that's on TikTok, once the M2 platform starts, we should do a mass exodus. That's what I'm saying. That's what we should do, because we should be boycotting the whole scenario, why that even happened. We should there's just so many factors involved that we should be not supporting that migration or whatever, that transition to M2. And I'm right there with it. So we are now, as of a couple days ago, we are exclusively streaming on YouTube. YouTube is our only platform that we're streaming on. I'm not streaming on Twitch because that never really did anything for me. I'm not streaming on Kick because that was just an experimentation. And I'm not streaming on TikTok, which was actually cool for a little while, but now it sucks. So just YouTube. And I have to be honest, I think it was the best. I should have done it a long time ago. We finally hit 20 viewers in the stream. For a short, hot second, we hit 20 viewers, but it was there. It stuck. 20 viewers was there long enough for the analytics to say you hit 20 viewers. So that was cool, because that's my ultimate goal of my streams. I never want it to be below 20 viewers. That's what I'm trying to achieve. Because I heard somewhere, I don't know if this is true, but I heard somewhere that if you get 20 or more viewers in your streams, you are in the top 1% of live streamers. So that's why I'm trying to get that goal. 20 or more every time I go live. Hopefully, I understand my art streams don't do that, but that's okay. But my game streams can do that, and we're just having a good time doing that. So that's kind of the update. So basically, I'm no longer on any other platform live streaming except for YouTube, and we're going to be phasing out TikTok entirely soon. I don't think I'm gonna do what I did with Meta, where I'm not gonna delete the account, but I am gonna put it on private and just not access it and see what happens. And if they kind of block the account eventually, then they block the account. So yeah, I'm not gonna deal with that anymore. And then, so right now you can find me obviously here on YouTube. That's my main outlet. I'm gonna be putting way more content out on Shorts. I've already been doing pretty good with it. I post something on Shorts multiple times a day, but I'm gonna be posting a lot more on Shorts, just because that'll take over what I used to do on TikTok. So we'll get a lot more information on Shorts. And then And then Blue Sky, I'm starting to get way more aggressive with Blue Sky. Like I'm like trying to figure out Blue Sky and see if I can get more traction. And eventually, as Blue Sky starts to offer more stuff, maybe they'll have a live streaming format eventually. But right now, we can do 3-minute videos over there, which is good because there's 3 minutes here, so I can do both. It's more like Twitter if you're not familiar with Blue Sky, like the original Twitter, because I think it was made by the original Twitter people. But it has more of that feel and look. So it's more about newsy, texty, and then image below the text. So it's text and image below the text, whereas like Instagram is image, text below the image. And on TikTok, obviously, it's all video. YouTube, it's all video and text in the descriptions. So it has a different feel to it. So we'll see if I can manage to get it to work for me in the way that to get some traction and get some followers and get some kind of stuff going over there in a platform that's sort of outside of the oligarchs. So YouTube will be the only platform that's supported by oligarchs that I am using now, currently. So I think that's the update on the YouTube kind of analytic side of things. I don't know, if I think of something else, I'll let you know as we go. But giveaway day. So the other part of it. So I'll be tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern time. I'll be doing a live stream where I'll be giving all the instructions to people to do the giveaway. I've decided to use a Google form. First time I'm going to be using a Google form. It'll be linked up in the description of the giveaway. Fill out the form, send me the information. What I've discovered about this giveaway up to this point, my platform is not big enough for the ambition of this giveaway, at least not at this point, unless something breaks open, because the algorithm's not helping me out getting it out to more people. It's like my videos have not been viewed by nearly enough people because there's this massive degree of skepticism on the giveaway idea. Like there's a lot of people think I'm gonna try to scam them in some way. A lot of people think it's fake. A lot of people don't even care because of those two things. So what I've discovered in a sense is you're really doing your giveaway for the audience you already have. So plan accordingly. Like if your audience like mine, like I should have maybe just done the Switch 2 and that's it. Just the Switch. And then save the rest of the stuff for something else because the size of my audience doesn't merit the size of the giveaway. But that's active. Obviously I have almost 10,000 subscribers, but I'd say 1,000 of them maybe are active enough, like maybe 200 of them are aware and active, and the rest of them are just like, oh, I subscribed to that years ago and haven't even looked at it since, you know. So there's a lot of that. But the goal would be that over the ultimate goal at this point, well, the ultimate goal, the top of the Blue Sky hope would be it achieves everything I want out of it, which is the push goals, which would be I get 500 channel members out of it, and I get my channel up to 20,000 subscribers. That would be the ultimate goal. Like it just pops off, people are into it, and then all of a sudden it's like we just get a flood of just like support. That would be the ultimate goal. Short of that is it pushes my account like next week. By next Friday, when I report my numbers, we're at 10,000 subscribers. That would be a good, reasonable, could happen goal in a way. Like not a miracle goal, but like a good, that's like reasonable. I think that could genuinely happen. So if over the week, the giveaway will be open for submissions through the week. We'll see what happens because I'll obviously be hustling, telling people about it. Hopefully more people will share about it. So yeah, I'm just gonna save the rest of kind of the breakdown of it until the actual giveaway. I'm not gonna I tell you how it works and everything, because if you're interested, if you're watching this to this morning, Friday the 11th, and you're like, oh, I want to get in on that, 6 p.m. tonight, come and do it. But we have stuff to give away. You'll fill out a Google form, you'll send it in. The other two things though I'll mention is, well, one thing in a sense is that skepticism. So which I'm gonna start my whole giveaway video off with is like, I've been working way too hard on this platform to mess it up by trying to scam you. You know, it's like, so, and the other thing is like, if anybody gives it just a moment of like critical thinking, a moment of research, they could just see like I'm an actual human being. Like it's not a faceless YouTube channel and I'm trying to like do something and give away things without ever showing my, like, I am fully present to the whole process. So it's like, why would I ruin my personal brand in a sense by trying to scam you? And so there's just a lot of people that just don't take the 10 minutes to scroll the profile and be like, oh yeah, this guy seems legit. I don't know. I get it. There's a lot of reasons to be skeptical, but I'm not requiring any personal information. No personal information. It'll be easier for you if you do send in something slightly personal, like your mailing address, your physical mailing address, because I'm requiring that during the entry. You have to send the a physical mailing address on the entry, so that if I draw your name, I'm not having to email you, go like, all right, send me your address. It's just like done. Label, box, label, ship. You know, so that's the only thing, because everything else you can set up an email address that's just a one-off email address that you can close in a month after you found out if you won or not. You don't have to send me your actual real name. You can send me, and I said this in like the questions that I have for you, just everything's going by your YouTube username. Whatever your YouTube channel is called, that's what I'm gonna call you. And so that's all you need. So it'll be your YouTube username and your mailing address, and that's as personal as it gets. And then an email. So it's up to you to decide how much you want to, like, if you have a burner email account, and if you have a work address, or you have parents' work address, or a PO box, or a UPS box. Like, there's ways to avoid, like, I'm not collecting any close to you personal information if you don't want me to have it. So, and people don't realize that. So anyways, okay, so we'll talk about that more later tonight when we do the actual giveaway. All right, so I think I'm just gonna power through some of these bullet points that I have on what came up for me this week, with just, you know, responding again from what I said last week, what's going on in our society. And one of the first bullet point I have is cruelty is the point, as you've been hearing. Like, what is going on in our society with Alligator Auschwitz, with the immigrant situation, with everything the Trump regime is implementing, and the people that support him, is cruelty is the point. Cruelty is the point. And it's like, I saw just the other day, I saw a video of somebody, they don't understand propaganda either. They don't understand. They were talking about, Nazi Germany and agreeing with what Hitler was saying with the ideas of, Christian values and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, that's the point. He's trying to prey on your fears and align with what you believe in already, and accentuate that to justify hatred. Something that came up this week, and I made a short about it, maybe you saw it, was in my YouTube chat. While I have a zero tolerance policy for my YouTube chat, like, if anybody shows any signs that they're gonna be a dumb, I block them. I've said this before. I don't even give them I'm like, okay. And that happened again this week. Like, something came up with, I said we support the LGBTQIA plus community, and then somebody in the chat says, well, I'm religious, I'm Christian or something, so it's nice that you do that, but there's the big but or whatever. And I didn't even give it I was like, okay, I'm waiting. I was just watching the chat, as I was playing games and talking to my community. I was just like watching, waiting for the next thing, and they started to say something like, the Bible says blah blah blah. I didn't even read the whole thing because I knew where it was going. Well, I don't even know where it was going, but I didn't give them a chance, because the Bible said, and I was just like, I could just tell the vibe. I was trusting my intuition, and I just blocked him. I was like, we do not need anybody to justify their bigotry and hate through religion and the Bible. And that's what I like realized. I kind of had this I was today years old moment, because I grew up Christian. I grew up Catholic. I grew up believing the Bible was essentially a good book, right? The good book, as they say. Because I've been indoctrinated, I've been trained to believe that. But if so many people are able to use that book to justify their bigotry, that negates and all its goodness. It's no longer good. It is a vehicle for hate and bigotry and those kind of, and suppression and oppression. So I can't see it any other way anymore. So that, to me, the Bible is been corrupted beyond repair, especially at this point. So it's just, yeah. The other bullet point I have here is America is sick and we can't afford health care. We are mentally sick. America is mentally sick and we can't afford health care. It's an analogy. It's a metaphor, right? We obviously can't afford health care in a reality, in a non-metaphor, in like, this is the reality. We cannot afford healthcare in our society because we are being, oppressed by the system. We are being used by the system to get more money out of us. We cannot afford healthcare, but it's also a metaphor because our society is sick mentally by believing, by being fooled by the cult of the Trump regime. We are sick mentally and we can't afford the care to get us out of that. It's like a perfect metaphor for what America is going through right now. And unfortunately, a lot of the society in the world, but especially America. So I was telling you about my no tolerance in my YouTube chat and those kind of things. And what I kind of realized this week is partly if they're allowed, so like I was saying with the cruelty as well, if they're allowed to err on the side of cruelty, then I'm allowing myself to err on the side of intolerance to cruelty. Like if I make a mistake, like I've noticed, I've probably blocked a few people that I'm like, oh, they were trying to be a counterpoint, but the way they started their argument was trying to bait and switch you, and I'm just like, block or whatever. I'm just like, no tolerance. I'm like, don't even do that. Be straight with your words right out the gate. Like, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm just like, if you're gonna joke about this, you are not allowed, basically. Like, so I will err on the side of, and I think it's established, I feel like genuinely this firm stance and degree of intolerance I have when it comes to my gaming community is valued more than even my community realizes, because we've been able to keep it such a clean and safe environment for people. Like, people that come to my environment say over and over and over, I love this environment because it's safe, I feel seen, I feel heard. It's not, and I think it's because I shut down. Like, I think there's, we've talked about this before, I'm sure there's tons of content creators that tolerate the cruelty because they want the numbers, where I'm like, no, there are plenty of people out there that probably like gaming and like art that are also decent human beings. I don't need to entertain that fringe person, and especially not the just straight up hateful person, but that person on the fringe that just is like being weird and doesn't realize it. I'm like, no, man, figure your shit out and then come here. I'm not going to be the one. This isn't going to be the place. There's plenty of, that's the other thing I've realized. I'm allowing other content creators. Like, there's this content creator named Good Trouble on TikTok that I love because he really like eviscerates people that have a hateful take. And he's Jewish, so he has that in his kind of like history of his culture, of his people, is the Holocaust and those kind of things. He's not a Zionist, but he is Jewish, and he understands a perspective on what hate means. and he's just takes down people, and he makes these really great counterpoints to, and so I'll let those people educate, but my space is you figure it out from those people, and then if you want to become part of my space, then after you've figured it out, you can come in here. But I'm not going to be the space that's going to hold your hand while you figure it out, unless you're really genuine about it. But if you come into my space with an automatic, like, I'm not going to try to change your mind. But if you come to the space like, hey, Zim, I have some questions for you. You know, this is what I've been thinking. Like, great. But if you come to the space like, you're an idiot, you're a libtard, you're a whatever, you're blah, 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 blah. No. Even if I could have possibly changed your mind, I'm not even going to try to. So you have to do the work to come into my space. So I'm going to hold that line of intolerance really hard from here on out, because what I think it's doing is creating a really great environment. People like being in my environment. People like being on my streams. And because I think we keep the trolls out. We keep the hateful people out. And we have a hard line we draw on that. Something I was thinking about capitalism and what's going on in our society right now, and we all know capitalism is broken, doesn't work. It's just totally ruined society. Part of the reason we're in the situation we're in is because of capitalism, because everybody's trying to always get more. Like they've gamified society. How much of the commerce can we hoard? That's what capitalism has turned into. What could have made it work, and what businesses should think about moving forward, in my opinion, is what model can we make that's sustainable? Where's the limit what's the amount we need to make sure that we are sustainable, can pay our employees well, can do our, since we're in the system of needing to pay for healthcare, paying for healthcare, doing what we need to do to make our environments clean, make sure our businesses are clean and well put together, employees are well paid, enough employees are there that nobody's overworked, whatever it might be. What can we do to keep our business model sustainable? And I think there's probably a lot of businesses that sort of do that or forced to do that, but the mega corporations are always like, how can we get more money for our stockholders? It's not about sustainability. It's about keep more, always. It's not about like, okay, it's sustainable. Let's keep this going for 5-6 years and see what we need to adjust. But it's like the goal is to every quarter do better than the last quarter. Always make more money. And that's what's ruined society. That's what's ruined capitalism. I mean, obviously, any system can work if it's done without corruption. And a lot of people think corruption is only when a violent act or a blatant fraudulent act happens. But corruption is also, how can I get more money out of the system? That's also corruption. It's also corrupt to take more than you need. That's also corruption. But a lot of people don't understand. They think, oh, well, they're not being corrupt. No, they are being corrupt. If you're a billionaire, you're corrupt. There's no way around it. You cannot be a billionaire without it being corrupt. Like, the fact that you're a billionaire means you are the scum of the earth. That's period. There's no question about it. There's no debating. There's no debating. There's no way you can have, just by having that much money means you are taking money, you're not providing for the society with the means that you're able to. By even having your bank ledger say you are a billionaire plus means you are the scum of the earth. You cannot have that much money and not be just a vile human being. You're just hoarding wealth that could be spread to other people. So there's that. Having that much money, having more money, always hoarding the wealth is corrupt. Even if it's done within the rules of our society, you are still corrupt. All right. that's it for my kind of social, political stuff that I've been thinking about this week and what happened, what I came across. Now for the fun part. I'm gonna move the camera real quick. We are making really good progress on the mural. Let's put it in focus here. So this lower section here, looking real good for what I'm trying to achieve. This is really, like, if you look at most of this lower section, let's see if I can do this. I can't quite do this. Most of this lower section is what I want it to look like. It's good. It's really in the space that I like. I'm really excited about it. It's looking good. So yeah, I'm not going to adjust the camera too much. So I'm really excited about how that's coming out. That took me about 4 hours to complete. And so we have to do the same thing with the other side. I figured out what I'm going to do in this negative space right there. How that's going to work out. My tripod, I can't just spin it like that without it. It like locks back up. So it's annoying, but whatever. I can't wait till I get another camera. Again, because this camera sucks for everything. But it needs to be on a different tripod because it's heavier. There's just a lot about it that's just not ideal. All right, so I got distracted. We are so that bottom section took me 4 hours to make, to get to that point. It still needs more touch up, but I'm really happy with how it looks. Honestly, I mean, it looks good in person, and it's every day it looks even better and better. But through a camera lens, what happens, it looks like extra good. But so photographs are gonna look amazing. So the rest of it, though, I think so. Tonight is my giveaway. I've been focused a lot of energy on doing that. So it's really, I didn't work on it much this week, and I kind of crashed out on Wednesday and Tuesday. I was like, I slept in for really long. I just couldn't do it. I was thinking about doing this, and I was like, I can't do it. So I needed a break from it. But by yesterday, Thursday morning, I was like, felt refreshed, and then once I started working on it, I was like, oh my God, this is what I do. Now it's starting to look like we've hit that point. It's like that I had this little thing I was thinking about saying, a little joke to make about it, but it's like this kind of like, I see you now, I see you, I see what you're doing kind of thing, I see what's going on here. But there's another phrase I had for it, I can't remember, but so it's really starting to look like what I want it to look like, and I'm really happy with it. And so that took me 4 hours. So I think I can finish it next week. My goal, I think I might clear the slate and not do as many game streams next week and just go ham, because it's gotten to that, like I was telling you before, when it gets to when there's parts of it that get complete, it makes it really easy. My motivation to work on it, that's partly why I work smaller too, is it's easier to make it feel complete faster. But getting it to feel complete faster, and I was staring at it last night in bed. I couldn't sleep well last night, and I just had a picture of it on my phone, and I was just looking at it, and I figured out how I'm gonna address the center section, underneath the wording there. I'm gonna do a vinyl cut for the wording and glue it on there, or stick it on there. I'm gonna put it all black, and then underneath there's a little, I'll rotate the camera again. I'm not gonna put it in focus, but I'll just rotate it. In this lower section right here, below the fingers of my avatar, I'm gonna put a passage, a phrase, a kind of a writing to my students and to the RIT student body that I'm gonna put in there, that I've been thinking about. Up in this middle section here, like underneath end, it'll say, when you stand in community or with community, you stand in defiance of the oppressor. The only thing that's interesting about it is this part of the students comes out farther than this part of the avatars. So if I put that phrase directly in the middle, there'll be a little extra negative space right in here that I'll need to address. And I think I know what I'm gonna do there to address it, to kind of balance it out a little bit, because I think it would be weird if I moved the text over, because I'm gonna do just a block of text. I thought about I could do the text in kind of like a more amorphous kind of way of doing it, curved, like, but I think I'm just gonna do a block of text, and then I'm gonna put a bunch of writing around it as well, just with ink and brush writing. So we'll see how that turns out. Anyways, and then so I think basically I think I can finish it by next week. Like, maybe not finish it, but really, so I'll just be like looking at it and doing little touch-ups here and there. But I think I can get the whole thing. So by next Friday, you might see it very complete. So, but I think it looks cool. I don't know. It's like one of those things. This is what I've decided about my artwork and what I see versus what other people see. You know, I've got to that point. It's like, I've noticed this in my musical career too, with musicians. A lot of us can only hear our mistakes. We can't hear how amazing it was. So when as I learned to be a performer, you should never, ever, ever take away someone's opinion and impression of your performance, especially if it's positive, right? If they say you sucked, you can like go whatever. But if they come up to you and are like, man, that was amazing, but the first thing out of your mouth is like, well, I kind of made a mistake. Don't ever do that. Just say thank you and move on, because they let them revel in their enjoyment and belief of what they believe it was. And I thankfully learned that pretty early in my music career. And it's a similar idea where when I look at it, it's kind of like a illusion. I can see where it probably looks awesome, but I also see all my mistakes, all the things that like maybe I should fix that. Do I really want to fix it? Because there's an element of my work that's embrace the mistake, right? So sometimes I just leave things just because I'm like, well, whatever. It's like does it really need to be adjusted or fixed or whatever, or is it fine the way it is? Sometimes I don't even know. But it's like my brain, the way I work and the way that kind of can't see what the reality is. You can only see what your mind wants to see, what you think it is. So anyways, we'll just complete it and see what happens. It's like when I look at individual faces, sometimes I'm like, whoa, I smashed that. And then I look to the right, to the left, and I'm like, oh, that little area doesn't feel as strong or whatever. But like I said, it looks dope through video. It looks dope through cameras. It looks dope through pictures. But it'll look good from like 30 feet away. And I can only get like 12 feet away from it because I have a wall right there. But I think if I look at it from like 30 feet away or something, I think it'll look amazing. And that's kind of the point. There's that kind of idea of it conveys a different message depending on how close or far you're standing from it. So I'm playing with that for sure. I'll have text that's too small to read if you're 30 feet away. So you have to get up close to it to read certain text and see certain details. But there's obviously part of the text that you can read from 100 feet away, and you're like, okay, I can see that from 100 feet away. You get to 30 feet away and like, oh, I see that there's avatars and faces and politicians and flags. And then you get 3 feet away and you're like, oh, there's a saying that says eat the rich or things like that. So yeah, that's part of it. All right, and then life update. I don't know what to life update you about. There's nothing really. It's just we're just kind of coasting. I think my son is gonna visit me at the end of the month, which I'm excited about. He I don't know, maybe I said that last week, but he bought his plane ticket. So he's going to be flying out in the end of the month. And so we're going to get to hang out together. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, we did it, friends. Thanks for listening again. Appreciate you. Appreciate your support. And as always, be loving, kind, and patient. And we'll catch up with you again next week. Hopefully with 10,000 subs on the YouTube channel by Friday. And if my giveaway pops off the way I hope it will. and with a much more complete mural. Like we're gonna go hard. I'm gonna clear the decks. I'll probably still do game streams, but I'm gonna tell my community that they're not gonna happen on schedule. Normally it's 6 p.m. Eastern time every day, but I'm just gonna be like, I'm focusing on this mural, and we're just gonna go ham on it. I'm hungry now. I haven't eaten breakfast, so I'm gonna do that. But anyways, be loving, kind, and patient, and we'll catch up with you again next week. Peace, my friends.